Hello, good afternoon, students. Last Sunday, we started on international trade and gave a little bit of insight on introduction with regard to trade and comparing with domestic trade-offs as well. And also, I touched a little bit of bill of exchange also in continuing today. The definition of the bill of exchange, the people who missed have to go through once again and try to by heart the main vital point that I have pointed out with regard to bill of exchange. It's very important for you all. And don't worry if there are certain technical terms that you couldn't catch it properly, but they will continue with the bill of exchange today as well a little bit. Then we did some advantages, the comparative advantage and the absolute advantage last time. And today we'll continue with the what do you call the bill of exchange. And please comment one or two students at least if the board is visible and the way that I'm writing is in your perimeter in the viewfinder, so that I could have a better gauge on the thing. And so last time we discussed about the bill of exchange, the ordinance of 1882. It's governed by the English law, enacted in Sri Lanka in 1927. So I gave the definition of the bill of exchange, and in one point I said, it is payable on demand, fixed, or a future determinable time. So one of the salient features of a bill of exchange is it could be payable on demand. Just even you can see the slide of bill of exchange continue. Somebody's commenting. Yes, right, fine. Thank you so much. Right. Now, this is one of the salient features that I have given in the bill of exchange. It's payable on demand, fixed, or a future determinable time. A check, which is commonly known by the bankers, you know what a check is? So there are three ingredients to qualify for a financial instrument to become a check. Now this is a repetition, I'm rushing a little bit. First thing, the check has to be payable only on demand. It's payable only on demand. And check is always drawn on a bank. Drawn on a bank. And of course, it is a bill of exchange. Right. So, check is a bill of exchange. Therefore, checks are governed by the ordinance of 1882, obviously. And check has to be drawn on a bank all the time and is payable only on demand. So this is how you define a check. And the ingredient in here, we are going to take it, is payable on demand. So therefore, check has only one face. There's only one phase, that is payable on demand. In contrast to this, a bill of exchange has two facets. That is, it could be either payable on demand, or it could be payable on a postponed date, a deferred date. That's why you say fixed or on a future determinable time. So that aspect has to be remembered carefully when we progress the sessions to the with the soft payment with regard to the document correction. You will recall the salient features of bill of exchange. Then we discussed about the open account trade, what you call the method of payment. And in India, we discussed about the open account. So I'll rush the open account. That is, there are two parties called the buyer and the seller, and they have a contractual obligation, which is being pointed out in a sales agreement or a contract of sale, which is a very vital contractual document that one has to fall in with, the buyer and the seller. So that contract is called the contract of sale or the sales agreement, which is the paramount important document for trade, any kind of trade. And the seller, in case of open account, seller has to perform in two ways. That is, that he has to ship the goods to buyer, and I told you all, the goods has to be consigned to buyer. Consigned means all the rights have been transferred. And the documents also, the shipping documents, has to be forwarded to the buyer, and such documents also has to be consigned to buyer. What is the pain? Oh, right. Just a second for a moment. There's a small technical issue with regard to the viewfinder. We'll adjust the camera a little bit. Okay, right. Thank you. So seller has to send the documents across and the goods to the buyer, and such documents and the goods have to be consigned to buyer. In the method of open account, the buyer will not make the payment until the goods and the documents are received by him. So, in case of an open account trading, buyer is a dominant party, and he will dictate terms, and the rest of the thing I detailed last time. So we'll discuss about the advance payment today. Advance payment. So advance payment is the other side of the coin of the open account. In this case, the seller is stronger than the buyer. When I say seller is stronger than the buyer, means seller can find in the abundance of buyers, and therefore seller will dictate terms in this case. So in the case of advance payment, seller requests to the contract of sale that the buyer has to remit the monies, the value of the goods, in advance. Value of the goods has to be repatriated in advance. Now here the word advance don't get have the misconception of advance payment. When you say advance in literally, we use it in a different way. So that's not the advance that we are talking of. I'll explain. Say A contracts with B, the party A contracts with another party B, and he will say, I will pay you once the contract is fulfilled by B. So he has contracted with the B for him to do some service, and once the service is completed, he has promised that he will pay. So that's the contractual obligation between A and B, where it has been written in the sales contract. To kick off with the contract, the B might want some monies from some percentage of monies from the contractual capacity for him to kick off for infrastructure and also to start with the commissioning. So if the contract value is say 100,000 rupees, he will ask 25,000 as an advance payment out of the contract value. So A will draw up an invoice and say 20,000 being paid as an advance payment, and the balance payment will be 75,000. That is once the contract is completed. So that is not the advance payment we are talking of in here. Here the advance payment is a method of payment. So method of payment, advance payment is where the buyer is supposed to remit the monies, the value of the goods in advance. Not a fraction of an advance payment. Here, the value of the goods, say if the value of the goods is $10,000, such monies has to be repatriated in advance to the seller. That's what you call advance payment. Right. So when how the buyer will remit the monies? Buyer will go to his banker. He'll take a local bank. Okay. You go to Pan Asia. He's a customer of Pan Asia, and he will tell the value of the goods is $40,000. I want to remit these monies to the seller. That is the seller's bank. The details are given as an advance payment. Now here that an advance payment is not a fraction of the money being agreed upon, it's the full value of the goods. For the buyer to convince the PABC, that is the Pan Asia Bank officials, he has to give some documentary evidence. So what is the document evidence that he has solely? Is a pro forma invoice. Pro forma invoice. So I have given you a handout with regard to documents associated with international trade, and in there I have jotted what a pro forma invoice is. So please do read. I hope that you are taking a printout on that and keeping. So please do read what a pro forma invoice is. It's not a legally binding document. You can't. This is not actionable instrument. In other words. You can't make a charge on the surrendering of a pro forma invoice. It's just a quote. But if it is not a legal binding document, why the bank needs such a document from the buyer is to convince themselves that the buyer and the seller has some kind of a contract. Otherwise, just because of a letter of authority given by the customer saying that convert his current account equivalent of $40,000 and repatriate the monies, bank has not avoided any kind of negligence in there. So to avoid any kind of negligence, bank will ask for a document evidence which will be supported by a pro forma invoice. Pro forma meaning a form sake. If you refer to a dictionary, if you see, pro forma means a form sake. So the pro forma will have the description of the goods, value of the goods, the Incoterms, I'll explain later, Incoterms, and the seller's bank's details, seller's name and address, everything being given with regard to the goods in the pro forma invoice. So the based on the pro forma invoice and together with the letter of authority from the buyer, the PABC will remit the money to the seller, actually to the seller's bank. For that, the PABC could use only the SWIFT format of 103. Only the SWIFT format of 103. Anybody in this forum is not very conversant of the SWIFT format, you have to take it down as it is. MT103. MT stands for message type, and 103 is a payment order. Payment order. I said SWIFT. Right. SWIFT means society for worldwide society for worldwide interbank financial telecommunication. Society for worldwide. This is not international, interbank, financial telecommunication. Please note this very carefully. You might get tested for MCQ, the acronyms of SWIFT. Acronym of SWIFT. Right. So this is the SWIFT payment. Now SWIFT is a interbank transaction. You can send, you can chat. In other words, you can send free format messages to interbank, and you can send payments also as well. So there are 999 SWIFT messages. Out of that, there are 2 message types which relate to payment orders. One is MT103. Other one is the MT202. 103 stands for, is a payment order. It stands for customer transfer. Customer transfer. MT202 stands for bank transfer. So for open account trading and for advance payment, you can use only MT103, not MT202. Right? Right. If you miss a point, please note in the comment. I will give a consideration on that. So the buyer has come to the PABC, to his banker. Buyer is the importer, PABC, and request the banker to reflect monies which related to this advance payment. Value of the monies is $40,000. To do that, he will support with the pro forma invoice PI. And what is the payment order? It's a 103. 103. Right. That's all with regard to advance payment. But there are certain things that you need to know in relation to payment orders or other advance payment, because there are certain things, regulation governed by Sri Lankan authorities also as well, especially from the Foreign Exchange Department and from the Import and Export Control Department. Right. We'll see what they are. And they are paramount important for you and for your syllabus. Right. If the value of the goods, remember very carefully, value of the goods. Value of the goods. If the value of the goods exceeds $50,000, if the value of the goods exceeds $50,000, right? If the value of the goods exceeds $50,000, and such advance payment has to be done against a LKI account. I'll repeat. if the value of the goods exceeds $50,000, that is example $51,000, and such monies has to be repatriated or debited the customer's rupee account from a current account, LK current account, or from a savings account, then he has to arrange, the buyer has to arrange with the seller a foreign bank guarantee. A foreign bank guarantee or a standby letter of credit. Don't give that much of weight with regard to standby letter of credit. We are going to discuss it slightly in detail when you come to the various type of letters of credit. I have given a handout to you. The customer has to arrange a foreign bank guarantee or a standby letter of credit, and on the strength of these two, either of these two, the bank will remit the monies. So I had not implied if the customer brings an invoice exceeding $50,000, for you to send back to the central bank, to the Import and Export Control Department and get authority prior approval and then come. No. Amount of repatriation in case of advance payment is indefinite. If the customer brings an invoice for $1 million, still you can remit in advance. Advance payment could be done for indefinite amount. But if the value exceeds 50,000, the only thing the customer has to support is a foreign bank guarantee. Not by the customer, he has to arrange the seller. Seller will go to his banker and get a foreign bank guarantee organized. Why is that? Once the funds monies are repatriated, if the seller do not perform, bank can claim to the guarantee. Right. And that's another one that you need to remember. This requirement of foreign bank guarantee or a standby letter of credit doesn't arise if the monies are to be repatriated against a foreign currency account. Right? If the monies are repatriated against a foreign currency account from a PFCA account or a BFCA account or from an FCBU account. It's all maintained by foreign currency. These two are maintained at the domestic banking unit section, and these are the foreign bank currency unit. Right? Either way, they are maintained in foreign currency. PFC stands for personal foreign currency accounts. Personal foreign currency account. And BFC stands for business foreign currency account. So if anybody maintains a personal foreign currency account and that person has made a application to the bank to make an advance payment with regard to the importation that he has done, bank will not offer requirement of a foreign bank guarantee or a standby letter of credit, even though the invoice exceeds $50,000. Right. So once the monies are received by the seller or the seller's bank rather, then seller will perform. Right? Once the monies are received by the seller, seller will perform. He will arrange the goods and the goods will be remitted to the buyer's country and the goods has to be consigned to buyer and the shipping documents will be sent to cross to the buyer and such documents will be consigned to buyer. And how he will clear the consignment I have explained last time, and with the customs declaration form and what the importance of the customs declaration form also I have explained last time. And here there's another point as opposed to open account trade that you need to remember. Once the goods have been cleared, once the goods being cleared, that means after the payments be received by the seller, the goods will be sent across to buyer. But buyer has a small commitment that you need to know. Buyer has to submit. You have to make a short note quickly as possible. Buyer has to submit the copy of the custic. You know what the custic means now? Customs declaration form. Customer has to submit the custic. within 180 days, from the date of remittance. From the date of remittance. That is, the $40,000 be remitted by the BABC on day 1. 180 days from day 1, the goods have to come to Sri Lanka. That's what it meant. So if he doesn't submit the custody within 180 days from the date of remittance, the advance payment, the bank will report to central bank official to the attention of the supervision department. Right. So this is very important. 180 days. Right. Other method of payment is slightly complex, but we'll try to discuss. That is, documentary collection. Documentary collection. Right. Documentary collection means that here also you have two parties, buyer and the seller, and the parties to a document collection is somewhat different. By the buyer and the seller being termed differently in case of document collection. So you need to remember that. So buyer is known as the drawee and the seller is known as the principal. Right? You have to use this proper terminology, otherwise you will not attract marks. So buyer is termed as not as the importer, not as a consignee, but as a drawee. And the seller is known as the principal. So they have a sales contract between the principal and the drawee called a sales contract. So unlike in the open account or in advance payment, the seller or the principal in here cannot forward the documents straight away to the drawee. Such documents have to be forwarded to the principal's bank or the remitting bank. Or the remitting bank. Right. So the documents have to be given to the remitting bank. Remitting bank will forward such documents, the documents given by the principal, to a bank called collecting bank. Collecting bank. So documents are given plus with a collection instruction. Collection instruction. Collection instructions means the remitting bank will forward the documents to the collecting bank, not with a mere enclosure, not with just a covenant schedule, but with a set of instructions in the covenant schedule jotted down how to handle the documents. That's why you call it as a collection instruction. So in other words, in document collection, the most important document is this piece of collection instruction. So the remitting bank will tell how the collecting bank should handle, right? If the collecting bank is unable to read the drawee straight away, the collecting bank will find another bank in close proximity of the drawee, which is called the presenting bank. Presenting bank. So this grid is available for you all in the handout. Just go through very carefully and try to get an understanding of document collection. Principal has to forward the documents to the remitting bank. He can't send the documents to drawee, unlike in the open account and advance payment. Documents has to forward to the remitting bank. And the remitting bank will forward the documents to collecting bank where the drawee is. And such documents will accompany the collection instruction of the remitting bank. If the collecting bank is unable to read the drawee, depending on the geographical situation or for any other reason, on their own account, they will find another bank called the presenting bank. And the presenting bank will deliver the documents to the drawee. So the bank who delivers the documents to the drawee is called the presenting bank. So that goes logically. If the collecting bank able to forward the documents to the presenting to the drawee, then the collecting bank becomes the presenting bank. Right. The principal, remitting bank, collecting bank, presenting bank, drawee are the parties to a collection. If it is on a document collection, this is a method of payment. This will be guided by a set of rules called the Uniform Rules for Collection. I will abbreviate that to URC. The version that we need to discuss is 522, and revision came into being in 1995. So the full set of articles I have given to you all. Please do take a printout and keep it. And that is more than a handout, it's a treasure actually. It's the publication of URC 522, and there are 26 articles in there. So I can't say out of 26 what is more important and what is less important. That's in the hands of the paper setter. So we need to study the articles, right? So there are 26 articles in URC 522, and this particular article, set of articles will be guided the document collection, which is a method of payment. And in that articles only you find the parties to collection in the article 3, and we need to discuss those later, right? Now, when the presenting bank delivers the documents to the drawee, one of the instructions being given by the collection instruction by the remitting bank to the bank who forward the documents to the drawee is how to deliver the goods, how to deliver the documents. So when you say document collection, this will be subdivided into two. One is subdivided into two. I will take it down here so you can see, I guess. One is called the documents against payment. Documents against payment, commonly known as DP by the trade practitioners. Otherwise termed as the documents against acceptance. Documents against acceptance is commonly known as DA. So when you say document collection, we need to understand whether it's a DP document or a DA document. So both will be guided by URC 522. So application of URC 522 for both DP and DA differs. So we need to understand very clearly when you are learning and reading the articles and trying to understand whether that is applicable to DP or DA. Right. So when the proceeding bank author delivers the document to the drawee, this bank should know whether the documents are under DP or DA. Right. So from that point onwards, I will go further a little bit. We are hitting certain technical aspects in here, so you have to give a little bit of a consideration here. If the documents are under DP, such documents will have a site bill of exchange. Right? Site bill of exchange, you can call that as a site draft. Site draft. I told you, bill of exchange has two facets. Why is that? In the expression itself, it says is payable on demand or a future deliverable time. When you say payable on demand, that means no sooner that you cite a bill, you have to pay. So such bill of exchange called site drafts. Right. So if it is a DP, the draft has to be signed. Draft has to be signed. Right? The other set of documents are the normal shipping documents, commercial invoices, bill of lading, if it is on a sea freight, any other commercial documents. So these are the set of shipping documents we will receive with regard to the DP and along with the correction instruction, CI. So when the documents comes under DP term, draw is supposed to correct these documents from the banker by making payment. That's why it says cite. If the documents are under DA, that means bill of exchange is a must in that case. Submitting a bill of exchange is not that necessary in the case of a DP, but if they submit, that bill of exchange has to be a side draft. In case of a DA, if bill of exchange submission is compulsory, and such bill of exchange has to be a user's draft. Remember these terms, right? If it is a DA bill of exchange has to be a user's draft. That's another term for this, a tenor draft. Tenor or users, meaning there's a period to mature the bill of exchange for payment. So if the principal forwards the user's bill where the surplus credit is given to the buyer, documents will come in this route and the proceeding bank will deliver the documents on the DA, and there's a small mechanism you need to know how it happens. Right. So the DA documents will have a user's draft, then the commercial invoice, CI, then the bill of lading, BL, and any other documents. So what the bank will do is, bank will detach the documents from the rest of the documents. They will detach documents and give this draft for the drawee. Drawee is the buyer, for his acceptance. Now this is the bill of exchange. It says bill of exchange in here. Value of the goods is, we'll say $50,000. and this document has accompanied documents. The bank has already, detached this and give this draft for him to accept. The customer will say here, accepted and sign under fiduciary capacity. Fiduciary capacity means he can't sign as just A. Fernando. He has to sign partner, director, and signature. In other words, he has to put a company seal or rubber stamp and then sign. That's what we call fiduciary capacity. So once the bill of exchange is signed, such bill of exchange is termed as an accepted bill of exchange. Once the bill of exchange is accepted by the drawee, then the drawee is bound to pay at maturity, which is stipulated in the bill of exchange. Maturity could be discussed on a bill of exchange only if the bill of exchange is a tenor or a user's draft. So once the bill of exchange is accepted, bank will retain. They will take back from the customer and retain in their position and release a set of documents for him to go and pay the consignment, no payment. So he clears the consignment and he enjoys the cargo. Enjoy the cargo means he will sell the goods and enjoy the proceeds of it until the bill of exchange matures. Once the bill of exchange matures, say 60 days from the acceptance, 108 days from acceptance, then the bill of exchange gets matures. Then the customer has to come and pay. If the customer doesn't show up on the maturity date, then the prospective bank is not liable to the remitting bank. Remember very carefully that. If the drawee is obligatory to pay at maturity, and if the drawee doesn't pay, and if the bill remains unpaid at the date of maturity, then the proceeding bank, the bank who ultimately given the documents to the drawee, is not responsible for the remitting bank. I hope that you have taken down, at least recorded that sentiment. It's very important. Right. So that is not all in document collection. We will go in detail of document collection. So if you miss certain here and there, it will be fine-tuned again, and we'll go on a deep study when we do the when we start with the URC. Very likely from the next session onwards, I will start on the URC. Right. So I need to have 2 or 3 sessions for the URC. Then we try to do some what you call questions related to URC, studying past papers also, and then we'll move to Incoterms. So session by session we'll move, and I need to make a small request from you. I do not know how many people have logged in so far, and yet to be. I saw 2 or 3 be logging in today as the first time. But I hope that the full forum will be there next time onwards. So from next week onwards, I will be starting the Forex source as well, parallelly. Right? So I don't know how I'm going to squeeze within 2 hours time, but then at least 45 minutes to 1 hour, I will keep it and then start with the Forex. So keep a small calculator with you. If you don't have a calculator, use the phone also, but I will advise you to buy a calculator and keep it. I will recommend the FX 100. That's slightly expensive, but if you can have it, it's good. Because we are calculating for 4 decimal points, and we will start Forex also parallelly from next week onwards. Right. I will tell you the reason within a couple of weeks' time why I started this. Why I had to start the Forex quickly. Right. So be present, and unless it's a very valuable reason, don't avoid classes or try to not to be present for online presentation, especially when I start with the Forex. Right. Now we'll go to the I'll rush this. Factoring. If you need, if you have a little bit of a thing in your mind which has not been understood properly or whatever, just make a small comment on that, so I can rectify myself and go back or revert or simplify or something else. Otherwise, I will continue with it, right? You have all the what do you call free hand of make a comment on that. Factoring. Now, factoring is another service of buying this from from the customer. That is, if you have the handout of last time, the negotiable what do you call the negotiable instrument, you will understand the grid that I have given on the factoring and forfeiting. Just have a look on that. Right. We have given a grid like this. Importer, and exporter. I have put here local factor. And international factor here. Right. In factoring, bank will take over the company's sales ledger completely. He can't factor one transaction and avoid factoring of rest of the transaction. He has to factor the whole transactions to the bank. So the bank will have a employee seated in their premises and will take over the sales ledger. Otherwise, you can't do factoring. Right. So these are the parties that you will have in a factoring. The importer has to be approved importers where the bank has the discretion of giving this facility of factoring. That's why I said approved there. Importer, exporter, then you have the local factor, the internal factor. So, so what the exporter has to do is, exporter has to ship the goods to importer, and like the open account and advance payment, the goods has to be consigned to buyer. Goods has to consign to buyer. Right? And the goods has to be sent direct to the importer, consigned to importer. Right. Then after that, exporter has to assign invoices that is the second set of invoices. He can submit the invoices to the local factor. Here you will remember this invoice will be submitted to the local factor by the exporter after effecting the shipment. Once the shipment has been effected, it's on voyage. Now documents, he will have another set of documents here. He will submit another set of documents related to the same transaction to his local factor. The factor could be a factoring company or a bank. Then this local factor will purchase outright without recourse. Without recourse means once this local factor purchases, say the value of the export is $1. If the local factor has purchased the invoice and given $1 to the exporter, and if something goes wrong subsequently, then the local factor cannot claim money from the exporter. That's what we call without recourse. Local factor has already advanced money by purchasing the invoices expecting his international counterpart will reimburse him. If something goes wrong in here, and if the international factor doesn't remit the money, then the local factor cannot go back to the exporter and ask for the money. Like, now take an example. We have purchased a check, a local check. Customer brings a check and wanted you to purchase. So if the customer has arranged a purchase facility with the bank will go ahead and purchase and give credit to the customer. And after that, what do you do with the check? You will send it on collection. If the paying bank returns the check, then you have all the right, because of the letter of set-off that you've taken from the customer, you can have all the right to fall back to the customer's account and recover the monies. If the customer doesn't have money, to make a request for him to fund it so that you can return. If the customer ignores, you can send a letter of demand to the customer. If that's also not being adhered, you can, make a suit against the customer and file action. That is because when you purchase a check, you always give the purchase factor to the customer through a letter of set-off, which is with recourse. But in here, it's without recourse. Right. Right. Then the factoring company makes a payment for the SI invoices to the exporter without recourse, that I explained. Then the importer makes payment. So once the what you call the documents goes there on a stipulated date, on an agreed date, importer will make to the payment to the international factor. The international factor is in vicinity of the importer, and the local factor is in exporter's country. So once the importer settles the international factor, he reimburses the local factor. So that's how the factoring process goes. Right. So there are two salient features in here. In case of factoring, when the local factor purchases the invoices, that has to be without recourse. And the other one is when for the local factor to purchase export transaction, this exporter has to route all the exports, all the transactions through the local factor, not a particular export. That's why I said he has to buy all the debts. Right. Right. Forfeiting. So before coming to forfeiting, I need to explain with regard to one aspect called aval. Aval. Right. Adjective of this is avalization. Now, seller sells some goods to buyer, and payment incorporates a surplus credit. In other words, seller gives time for the buyer to sell the goods, enjoy the goods, because these goods are not fast moving, sell the goods and make the monies. For that, he has given a credit period. We call the surplus credit. Say 90 days. So the buyer has 90 days, solid 3 months, to make the payment after creating the consignment. So that is what you call usance period. This is the usance period or the tenor period. So on the 90th day dawn, the buyer will make the payment. How? He will go to the banker. The bank will make a 103. There are certain transactions which related to buyer. Seller has some doubts. There are instances because of previous experience this seller has over this buyer that he will always buying time after 9 days or as well. Surprise credit matures on the 90th day, but he will make the payment on the 95th day, or trying to avoid making payment until reminders are sent. So therefore, there are instances the buyer has not paid also. So therefore, what the seller says, no, this can't do. If you want this transaction to go through this time, you go to your banker and get the bank guarantee the payment. Let the bank guarantee the payment. Now this is the bank. Right? So what he will tell in trade terms is, I want this transaction to be avalized. Avalized. And since there's a surprise credit, but documents being incorporated in here, there's a teller bill of exchange. Teller bill of exchange. So he has a bill of exchange. So the buyer goes to his banker. Right? So the bank will tell the customer to accept the bill of exchange first. Accept the bill of exchange first. And once the bill of exchange is accepted, that becomes the accepted bill of exchange. Once the bill of exchange is accepted, the buyer becomes bound to pay the seller. But the seller is not satisfied with that acceptance of buyer. So therefore, the bank make a further endorsement on the bill of exchange, saying avalized, and send this avalized bill of exchange to the exporter. Right? So that's what you call avalization. So that the technique of the avalization is used inside and outside the bank for forfeiting. So forfeiting is the layman term of avalization which we do in the bank. Banks usually don't do forfeiting, but outsiders they do, but the same mechanism. The technical side of the forfeiting is avalization. Right. Now when we discuss forfeiting, we know that actually I am discussing avalization. So if you have a notebook near you, please take down this avalization. There are certain terms being referred for avalization. It's a French term actually. It's called aval, or it's a po aval. All same term, right? Po aval, P-O-U-R-A-V-A-L, po aval. So take it down, avalization. The importing bank, if I'm fast of dictating, just make a comment, right? The importing bank at request by the buyer, at the request of the buyer, will give a guarantee. Will give a guarantee in way of an endorsement on the bill of exchange. In a way of an endorsement on the bill of exchange. Bill of exchange, full stop. Importers bank will avalized. Importers bank will avalize, A-V-A-L-I-Z-E, avalize Once the drawee accepted the bill of exchange, once the drawee, get the spellings right, it's DRAWEE. Once the drawee accepted the bill of exchange. Therefore, at maturity, therefore at maturity, maturity means when the bill of exchange is due for payment, right? Therefore, at maturity, the importer's bank is liable to pay. Importer's bank is liable to pay. Right. Can anybody comment that you have taken down correctly? Just say yes or no. Right, fine. Right. That's enough. Okay. Now we'll go to forfeiting. Right? Now we will recall this forfeiting the same thing that I'm saying, but it's in the layman terms, right? Right. Forfeiting is actually the formal agreement between the customer and by the lender for one particular transaction or two. The bank is or that particular institution are going to employ a person and sit like a policeman there and take all the sales book and inward ledger and take it to custody and see what are the sales proceeds that he receives, what are the sales that he's doing. No. One or two transactions he can forfeit. Rest of the transactions he can do whatever he wants. Right? So this is how it happens. There's an exporter here again and an importer. Then you get the importer's bank. So you get the exporter's bank. Export is a merchant, you call it, merchant's bank. So these are the parties, right? These are the parties. So the exporter ships the goods direct to importer. When I say direct to importer, don't get misguided. The goods will not go to the doorstep of the importer. It will go to his country, right? So the exporter will send the goods direct to importer. It goes without saying the goods has to be consigned to importer. That's the number one, right? Then exporter has to forward the documents not to the importer, but to the importer's bank. Goods are gone to the importer, I mean to the importer's country, and the related documents, the shipping documents. I'll repeat the shipping document for the newcomers being joined. Shipping documents means commercial documents, transport documents, then insurance policy or certificate, and the bill of exchange. Right. So such documents will be forwarded to the bank. The bank means the to the importer's bank. One more thing, I hope that I said this. Forfeiting could be applied only if there's a surplus credit only. Right? In other words, for DA documents. For side documents, the forfeiting will not apply. There's no logic of forfeiting documents in regard to side. Only if there's a surplus credit, only forfeiting factoring applies. Right? Like the DA document. So the export has sent the documents, they'll say these documents will have a must document, that's the bill of exchange. Such bill of exchange is a tenor draft or a user's draft. So tenor draft will have a date of maturity. When the draft has to get matured, will be denoted in the bill of exchange. So what the bank will do, the importer's bank will do, the bank will not release the documents. Instead, the bank will give the bill of exchange. Actually, the bank will summon the importer to his desk and the importer has to accept the bill of exchange sent by the exporter. So the bank has an accepted bill of exchange. Once the bill of exchange been accepted, bank will release the documents, rest of the documents for him to pay the cargo. Bank is not worried about that. And the bank has an accepted bill of exchange. Now the bank has the accepted bill of exchange. Who has accepted? The drawee. How he has accepted? By saying accepted. Where he has accepted in cargo. When being stated there. And under fiduciary capacity. That's how we accept. Now there's an accepted bill of exchange. Bank will make a further endorsement on the accepted bill of exchange and send it to exporter. Right? In other words, what bank has done? Bank has avalized. Right? Now the exporter has a solid guarantee now. He has sent the goods, he has sent the documents, importer's bank has sent a avalized or what guaranteed bill of exchange. Right? So the exporter will have two options. He can discount the bill of exchange before maturity, obviously, give it to the merchant bank. He can submit the bill of exchange, which is yet to mature, and request the bank to discount it. What do you mean by discount it? If the value of the export is $1, merchant bank will give him 99 cents. Right? So like that is a discount. But the merchant bank, when it discounts, it has to discount without recourse. That's the beauty of it. Like in the factory. Without recourse. It's difficult to convince the merchant bank to discount, but if they discount, it will be without recourse. He can't fall back to the export again. Right. Once the bill is he has two options to give submit the bill of exchange before maturity and get it discounted, or wait till the date of maturity be done and then submit the bill of exchange to merchant bank for him to pay. Then that will be a payment, not discounted. He will get $1, in other words. So then the merchant bank has already discounted their lack of funds now. They have to wait until the maturity. And once the maturity being done, the merchant bank will claim from the bank, importer's bank. Right? Bank will make the payment because they have already avalized. They can't wait until the importer pays them. They have already avalized, so therefore they will make the payment. Then they will in turn they will debit the importer's account. So that's how the forfeiting happens. So I hope that this particular handout is everybody having this handout. Just having a soft copy, mere soft copy is not enough. You have to take a hard copy and try to draw on your own the grid, and try to study the bullets that I have given. Right? Both all the bits so far that I have done. Right. Now, this is the final method of payment, the documentary credit. Documentary credit. Documentary credit. Right. We studied open account trading, advance payment, documentary collection, when I say document collection, we are studying in whole, in a nutshell of the method of payment. Document credit is also in a nutshell of a payment, and when we do these respective articles, we go into detail. So you need to understand what document credit is in the first place. Like the other parties, we have this buyer and the seller. Two parties in a document is termed as completely differently. Seller is known as the beneficiary in here, and the buyer is known as the applicant. You don't call as a buyer or an importer or a drawee in case of a document credit. We term him as the applicant, and the seller as not as exporter but as the beneficiary. As the beneficiary. So when the in document credit, the buyer will go to his banker and make a request from his banker to issue a letter of credit favoring beneficiary. So his banker is the issuing bank, in other words. Right? So the issuing bank will establish a letter of credit. Letter of credit is actually guarantee given by the issuing bank to the beneficiary, and they will execute to a SWIFT, and that SWIFT type is MT700. MT stands for message type. And the SWIFT message will not be sent directly to the beneficiary. It will be sent to a bank in vicinity of the beneficiary. That bank is called the advising bank. Advising bank. Requests the advising bank to advise the letter of credit on behalf of the issuing bank. So the advising bank and the issuing bank has some arrangement. That arrangement is called the BKE arrangement or testing arrangement. Right. So the advising bank will advise the letter of credit to the beneficiary. The advising bank will advise the letter of credit to the beneficiary in the same manner the issuing bank has sent across to them. They had to typograph the LC because you can't send the SWIFT to beneficiary because beneficiary is not a bank. So they can't decode the MT700. So therefore, the advising bank will typograph the LC that they have received from the issuing bank. When they typograph, if they see a certain condition or a clause or a sentence which could be detrimental to the beneficiary or to their own country, they cannot delete or insert any suitable clause. They have to send as it is. Right. So the advising bank sent the what you call the LC to the beneficiary, and then after that, the beneficiary start to perform. Beneficiary means the seller start to perform. How? They will send the goods to applicant, the applicant's country. But there's a small difference in here. Apart from other methods of payment, open account, advance payment, and document collection, these goods has to be consigned to the issuing bank. Goods has to be consigned to the issuing bank. Right? And this is a bit of a complex thing, so that you need to give a little bit of a what you call focus on the thing. So once the documents are prepared according to the issuing bank LC by the beneficiary, such documents will be given to his banker, not necessarily to the advising bank. That bank is called the negotiating bank. Negotiating bank. So now negotiating bank will check the documents, and they have 5 banking days for that. So negotiating bank will check the documents. If the documents are complied with the issuing bank letter of credit, then they will negotiate the documents. Negotiate documents means that means they will pay. So beneficiary get payment. Now that's the beauty of a letter of credit. Beneficiary get paid when the documents are still at the beneficiary country. Goods are not being reached the applicant's country yet, it's on voyage. But the beneficiary is getting paid if the documents are compliant. So that is why you call documentary credit, because you always handling only with documents there. So if the perfect set of documents could be rendered towards the negotiating bank to the terms and conditions of the issuing bank, then the negotiating bank will negotiate. Right? Such negotiation will be with recourse. With recourse. Unlike in the factoring or forfeiting, the negotiating bank, when they negotiate, they will negotiate with recourse. Now they have all the negotiated documents. In other words, they have paid the beneficiary. Then they have the documents with them. They will courier the documents to the issuing bank. Courier the documents to the issuing bank. Issuing bank also will check. They also have 5 banking days for that matter. That of course we'll do it in later when we discuss about the article 14 of UCP articles. So issuing bank will check the documents. If they see the document sign is compliant, it's a compliant presentation, then they will reimburse the negotiating bank. Reimburse the negotiating bank. Reimburse the negotiating bank. If they find that the discrepancy in the documents which they have overlooked, then they will reject the payment. When they reject the payment, the negotiating bank will fall back to the beneficiary because they have done the negotiation with recourse. So this is the simpler form of a letter of credit. So you get applicant, you get a beneficiary, and the beneficiary will forward the documents to the issuing bank. Such documents are consigned to issuing bank, even the goods are consigned to the issuing bank. And the beneficiary before that has to negotiate documents to his bank, and that bank will negotiate documents if the documents are compliant only. If it is compliant only. Compliant. If the documents are compliant, then he will, the negotiating bank will negotiate documents and courier the documents to the issuing bank. And if the documents are in order, then they will reimburse the negotiating bank. Right. So as a side note, you have to take it down. This payment method document the credit. Right. Payment method document credit. So you take a small note with me. I'll be a little faster than the earlier time. Say document credit. It's a definite undertaking. It's a definite undertaking given by the issuing bank. It's a definite undertaking given by the issuing bank to the beneficiary to honor HONOUR, to honor to the value of documents. Within parentheses say value of documents means value of invoices, value of invoices. If the terms and conditions of the letter of credit is fulfilled. If the terms and conditions of the letter of credit is fulfilled. The terms and conditions of the letter of credit is fulfilled. So that's the basic layman terms of an explanation of a letter of credit, right? But the fine way of, more technical way of defining what a letter of credit is, we are going to discuss when we start the UCP on later stages. Now I use the word honor here, right? Don't give away too much on honor now, but I need to caution you one thing. This is not the honor that we talk on usage or a customer usage in English. So honor has a different meaning in UCP, complete different meaning. So I'm not going to spell out now. Once we do the start with the UCP, you will recall why I said this. So there's a huge meaning for honor. That's why I said issue bank has to honor. I didn't say they have to pay. I didn't say that they have to, fulfill their requirement. I didn't say they are obligated to pay. No, they have to honor, right? So honor has a completely different meaning in UCP, and in document credit is governed by a set of rules for the uniform customs and practice for doc credit. 600 is the version 600, and the revision of 2007 July. USP 600 version is 2007 July. This is uniform customs and practice for doc credit, and the number is 600. So there are 39 articles in there. So we'll discuss. I don't know whether we will have time to discuss all 39 articles and 26 articles in there, and you get plenty of other articles of Incoterms source as well in detail. Of it's complete, not possible at all. But here and there, where I think important when looking at the past papers, gauging the trend of the papers be sitting, I will discuss the important articles. Right. Now, one more request I need to do. I hope that I did last time also as well. I gave a small questionnaire for you. It's not an assignment, not what you call a tested question, but it's just a small questionnaire asking for you to write down and send to me through an email. Differences, highlighting the differences between domestic trade and international trade. Some of them I do not know. I don't have the count of you all, but some of the students say, in number wise, if I take about 10 students maximum, came with some attempt, and some were very good. I didn't want to make any changes with in the presentation or the grammar or the tenses, but certain points I have noted down. The people have got my answers promptly. They would have noted that, and so I'm giving another question to you also. The people are not attempting the first one, so you have 2 questions in pending. So take down this question also as well. What are the differences in between? What are differences in between methods of payment, open account, versus DP? When you look at it on the face of it, it appears to be same, right? Think carefully and revisit to my lecture and try to gather certain things. Note will give a little bit of a hint to you, and jot down 1 to 5 points. That's enough. 5 points. In point form, don't write thesis or paragraph or nothing. Everything in point form. Don't worry about the tenses or this thing. Whatever is come to your mind doesn't matter writing, but do some homework. So all what matters is at the session is how we are going to pen on. Not the amount of knowledge that you have gained or the thing that I have parted, but the amount that you can pen on at the stipulated time. So we are not here still to test your time. So I'm not worried about the time management. Just put 5 points. I'll give 2 or 3 points. See that you can, build up certain things. Now see, when you take open account, buyer is not blocking his capital. right? So understand, in the case of DP, when the documents are forwarded, the buyer has to pay. So that is one difference. Here, open account is he is a very dominant party. He gets the documents, he gets the goods, he can wait 365 days from the date of clearance until to make the payment. So that's one advantage. Obviously, it's a difference between DP. So that is one. So likewise, you can think and write. If you do not know the subject content very nicely, then you just revisit my lecture again and see, because this particular answer for this question I have already spelled out. So you need to, trigger them and put it. I put in a question form. This is how you trigger an answer of a note. Note has to be concise. Note has to be, revisit the lecture and take down the note. I don't know, I'm talking very fundamental here. Take down the note. The note has to be rewrite in point form method. And those notes, those points has to be learned and retained. And when the question being put, immediately it has to be triggered and put it. So the answer I have given already. But when I put the question, it gets stumped. The reason why you cannot trigger, because it cannot be concise properly or stored in a proper manner. So you need to do that exercise now itself. At the end of the session, perhaps you should be able to fine tune that, right? So I have a little bit of areas now for today's note. I've given you a handout for various types of letters of credit, which I want to do it today, but then I will do it next Sunday, that the various types of letters of credit. Today, I'll make a small paving for the next 20 minutes for the small paving for the Forex. Right. Now, this Forex, this is not a systematic approach. I will have a different session, more than a couple of sessions for Forex at the later stages, but then it's extremely difficult to cover the syllabus the way that the things are moving now, right? We are almost short, so therefore I need to do parallelly something. So real touching of Forex will be started from next session. So this is the paving for the Forex session. Try to understand. If you do not understand, instantly you have to tell me that you do not understand, because this is something that you cannot study and learn. Right, so immediately your brain has to be worked out, right? So you need to be careful a little bit, and if you do not understand, if you have a little bit of a gray area, of course it's all right. I'll be repeating certain things, but if you are completely lost, then make a quick comment or at least send me an email, right? And in the meantime, this is my number. I think you all know my number. Not 777-587-149. You can make a small text, and if you have a little bit of a what you call the difficulty of understanding, especially with regard to Forex, right? I'll try to explain. Forex is all about of converting one currency to another currency, right? All about converting one currency to another currency. That is, if you take two currencies of LKR to USD, you either can convert LKR to USD or USD to LKR. So this is a conversion in there. When you convert, what happens? There's an exposure, there's an exchange. So exposures will be discussed next Sunday. And I will just tell the paving of that. It happens only when there are two currencies involved. LKR to USD. LKR is our old currency called legacy currency or native currency. USD is US's native currency or the legacy currency. So when you convert, you have an exchange. You have an exchange. That's what you call foreign exchange, Forex. Right. Now we'll take a small example. I want you all to do a small thing. Uh, I hope this is not a very tedious thing. Just make a quick comment. If there are any non-bankers, just show up. Show up in the sense, just make a comment. I'm not a banker, so I can count the number of non-bankers in here because their understanding level of them is slightly different to the bankers. So therefore, I need a quick count on that. If there are non-bankers, right? Fine. Uh, say a customer brings a dollar bill, US dollar draft for 100 to a branch in Bank of Ceylon, BOC, in branch A. Right. Right. I will get compensate for any non-bankers. Say a US dollar draft of $100 being brought by the customer to purchase. And he goes to the branch A. So $100 draft will be purchased by the branch A staff at the buying rate, called the demand buying rate. Right? We say the buying rate is 100 rupees per dollar. You say you like that, or we'll try to be more realistic, say 200 rupees per dollar. Right, very soon we'll be realizing that. Then the customer's account will get credited for 20,000, and for the service that the bank has done for the purchase, they will take a commission out. And the customer's account will get credit for 19,950 rupees, and the 50 rupees is the branch commission. Right? Branch commission. So what is the profit of the branch? I need a quick comment from you all. Right? What is the profit of the bank? 50 rupees, huh? 50. More than 50. Less than 50. Right. Make a quick feed now. I'll explain again. Customer brings a dollar draft to purchase. At that time, the buying rate was 200. And the customer goes to one of the branches in Bank of Ceylon called A. And the branch will apply 200 into 100 as 20,000 rupees. And the bank service charge is 50 bucks. Deducted that 19,950. 50 goes to their commission received account. And 19,950 will be the customer's account get credited. So my question is, what is the bank's profit? 50, more than 50, less than 50. Make a quick note. Right. So I think you got an idea on that. Now, the Bank of Ceylon has the branch A, and the Bank of Ceylon treasury is in their head office. Right? Oh, that's a treasury. We'll see there's one dealer, there's one treasurer there. is a treasurer. His hands are like this on the equilibrium level. Say that he has some dollars in his hand on his right hand side, and he has some sterling pound or rupees. So this is how he has started his till in the morning. Right? Now, when the branch A purchased $100, this goes to an account called bills and check purchase account. $100 and it's revalued into what you call in rupees and gives the throwout balance of 20,000. This particular account is a general ledger account. Who is the custodian of this general ledger account of check bills purchase? Treasury. Treasury. So say this guy has $100 in hand and 100 LKI in hand. So we'll take at the same rate of one what you call one currency each. One unit is the same weight, so he has equivalent level. So when the branch purchase means he's buying $100. When the branch purchases, what happens? That will hit the treasurer to the system. So now the treasurer has a heavy right hand because he had already 100. Branch has purchased 100. So his second position will be because of the purchase that the branch A did. He has a weight of 200 now. 100 as it is, 100 plus is 200, and LK 100 here. So now he can go home until he come back to his equilibrium position. It's called the square of position. In here, when the branch purchased, the treasurer fees overbought position. Now he has to get rid of with the $200 so that he will, bounce back to the balancing level. For him to get rid of with this $200 because he's in excess of 100 now, because the branch purchased that, he has to sell. So what he does is he will sell in the market $100 at a rate higher than the branch has bought it. Branch bought at 200 rupees now. So he will try to sell this as at least by 201 to make a profit of 1 rupee for every dollar. So once he sell it, this his final point will be like this again: 100 again here, 100 again here, LK and USD, and 100 being sold out. So every time the branch purchases, treasury sells. Every time the branch sells, the treasury buys. So whenever the treasury sells, it will sell over the buying rate to earn a profit for treasurer himself. That's called the exchange income. Plus fee-based income will give the profit of more than 50. Right? Fee-based income is the branch has already paid the money, and for that the bank has earned a fee, 50 rupees. Plus, bank in whole made a profit of the exchange. This exchange profit will not go to the branch A, all right. But when you take the bank of Sri Lanka in total, they have a profit of more than 50. Right. quote. Quote of currency could be in two ways. It could be either by a direct quote or by an indirect quote.
So excuse me,
Yeah.
upside of the board is not visible.
This side of the board. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you. Right. Directed, indirect. So the quote could be, currency quote could be given by direct quote or an indirect quote. Example, USD to LKR is a direct quote. USD to JPY is a direct quote. GBP to USD is an indirect quote. EUR to USD is an indirect quote. Right? So direct quote means how much of home currency needed to buy or sell 1 unit of dollar. How much of home currency needed to buy or sell 1 unit of dollar is called a direct quote. Example, USD LKR 200 means you need $200 to buy $1. Right? Indirect quote means how much of US dollar needed to buy or sell 1 unit of home currency. GBP to USD is 1.6514 is an indirect quote. EUR to USD is 1.5205 is an indirect quote. So how do you remember the indirect quotes? There are two ways of remembering it. One is the thumb rule, that is more easier. There are four currencies, usually they quote indirectly. New Zealand dollars, Euro, Great Britain pounds, and Aussie dollars are quoted indirectly. New Zealand dollars, Euro, Sterling pound, and Aussie dollars. Right. All this has a thumb rule also. That is, if there is a quote given like this, X is a unit of currency, then there's an oblique here, then USD. And if the USD is placed on the right hand side of this oblique, then this is an indirect quote. If the US dollar is placed on the left hand side of the oblique, then this is a direct quote. USD to LKR, therefore, is a direct quote. USD is placed on the left hand side of the oblique. And the US dollar in here, the place is right hand side of the oblique. So then this is a direct quote and this is an indirect quote. So you can remember that also as well. In that way also as well, right? It's a thumb rule. Huh? Usually these four currencies are quoted indirectly. Right. The big thing I can do further, I will try to squeeze another small segment of treasury. I told you I'm just making a paving. Next Sunday I will do a little bit of a more session to appreciate. Right. So now this is a direct quote. It's a direct quote. This is called the base currency. Base currency. Quote cannot be seen by you all, no? Right. Now this is a direct quote. USD LKR is a direct quote. This USD is called the left hand side of the oblique is called the base currency, and this is called the counter currency. counter currency. Right. Now, can you visualize quickly as possible? Don't put a remark. Can you visualize quickly as possible? GB12 care is a direct code or indirect code? It's neither an indirect code nor a direct code. Why? You don't find the US dollar here. Right? So this is neither a direct code nor a indirect code. So these type of currencies are, these exchange rates are called cross currency. Cross currency. If you have a code like this, XY, we don't know whether it's dollar or not, just XY. This is base currency and this is the counter currency. So the base currency is not biased to USD. For any currency, this is the base and this is the counter. Right? That part is understood? Fine. Right. Another 2-3 minutes, I will have a small quick session, see whether you can get it. I will take a code like this. Right. D03 is a direct code. 142, not 258, not 359. Usually, exchange rates are quoted in two ways like this. Two ways. 140, not 259. 140, 3501, something like this. So don't be so biased to the figures that I put it. Always there are two codes. In a direct code, left side of the code is called the bid. Can't see, no? Bid. Right? Or you can call that as a buying rate. Right hand side of the quote is called the offer. We call the selling rate. Right? Now I'm going to take a fixed features code. Fixed features has been a non-existent code. That is for me to explain easily. Code like this, 2 and 4. 2 is my bid and 4 is my offer. So what is the spread of the treasurer? Spread, S-P-R-E-A-D, spread is offer minus bid. Why? Offer is higher than the bid here. Right? And if the dealer want to increase the spread, that is to have the highest spread, he has to have the highest offer and has to have the least bid. When you have the highest offer and when you have the least bid, when you take the difference, get widened, then you get the highest spread. Now what is the conclusion then here? In a direct code, to have the highest spread, you have to buy low and sell high. Right? I'll tell that quickly. The final thing. To have a spread, you have to have the offer minus bid, because offer minus bid means offer is higher and the bid is 2. Got my example, bid is 2 and offer is 4. And therefore the spread is offer minus bid. To have the highest spread, you have to have the highest spread. For you to have the highest spread, you have to have the highest offer and the least bid. The difference between those two is the spread. So offer high means you have to have the highest selling position, and the least bid means you have to have the least buy position. To have the highest spread in case of a direct code, Therefore, you need to buy. Here, you means the bank, right? You means the bank. Bank has to buy low and sell high. Buy low, sell high. Buy hard. Right. So we'll conclude our session today, and I will hang on for another 1 or 2 minutes and see whether you can, gather such information that I have gave with regard to the treasury, so that I could continue from that level itself. Or if you think that I need to further explain with regard to certain aspects of treasury, which I didn't do a lot of things, then still you tell me that I could, simplify my session next time. I'll hang on for 1 or 2 couple of seconds. My time is finished now, and then after that I'll leave. Right. Right. So there are a few students wanted me to elaborate further a little bit. In other words, I think they are requesting me to simplify a little bit. I will do that. Don't worry. Only thing, I will not have a backup note on that. So you have to. I will not have a backup note for all the things what I say in the treasury. So that therefore you need to focus yourself and take it down quick as possible and try to draft it properly as well. I will put down myself a little bit. And I know most of the people here in the students forum do not have treasury experience. So GBP to LK isn't no child. It's not a direct quote. It's neither what you call indirect quote. For the benefit of others, the question was GBP to LK, whether it's a direct or indirect quote. No, it's neither a direct or indirect quote. It's a cross rate. It's a cross currency. Yes, right. Very right, Jana. She's one of my students, former students. So it's a cross currency. To have a direct quote or indirect quote, you have to have the US dollar in sight. If the US dollar is placed on the left hand side of the oblique, then it's a direct quote. Otherwise, it's an indirect quote. When you say GB to LK, there's no dollar to be seen. Therefore, it's a cross currency. Right, Dhanush, thank you. And I promise that I will put down myself a little bit, especially with regard to treasury. And 1 hour, perhaps, we'll spend on treasury. It's a tough fast, right? I have only another 28 sessions to go. So therefore, you have to be with me. So from next session onwards, I'm going to speed up a little bit. Right. So study well and come. And stay safe again. And if there's any questions or any kind of a clarification within the scope of what I taught you, please do write or make a text to me so I make an explanation. Right. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.